that went to the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office in March of 2022, and they presented this case to them. But after that occurred, he was no longer looking to charge in that district. David Weiss, in October 7th, 2022, said that the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office will not allow us to charge there, and then he added that he would requested special counsel authority and was denied.
That was IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley speaking out about the federal stonewalling of the Hunter Biden tax probe that he faced. The first son set to be deposed today by the Delaware laptop repair shop owner John Paul Mack Isaac, who is suing Hunter Biden for defamation. Meanwhile, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says that the Biden family could have raked in upwards of $40 million in payments that they accepted from foreign nationals. Joining me right now is Michigan Congresswoman Lisa McClain. She's a member of the House Oversight and Budget Committees. Congresswoman, thanks very much for being here. We want to understand more about all of this money that the Biden family has taken in. Do you have evidence?
We do. And every day, every week, as we subpoena documents, we're getting more and more evidence, which is, I think, exactly what we need to do. Let's not rush to judgment. Let's follow due process. The problem is, every time we get evidence, it leads us down another rabbit hole. We just got wind of the WhatsApp, where Hunter Biden talks with his Chinese counterpart saying, hey, I need $10 million and my dad's sitting right here, or the big guy's sitting right here. And mysteriously, the next day, a $100,000 wire shows up. Coincidence? I don't think so.
This is just extraordinary. On Sunday Morning Futures, Peter Schweitzer, who's done a lot of work on this, told me that there was a secret phone that Joe Biden was using that was paid for by Hunter Biden, and he knows this from the laptop. And apparently, John Solomon called the phone, and Joe Biden picked up the phone. I have not spoken to John Solomon on this, but this is reports showing that he called and Joe Biden answered the phone. What can you tell us about this phone?
So we haven't done a full investigation in that, so I'd really rather not comment. Okay. I don't want to speculate. I think sometimes let's just get the facts. Trust me, Maria, we have enough facts right now, and more to come.
What are you waiting for? What's the more to come? More bank records?
More bank records, SARS reports. We still haven't. We'd like to do some more investigation on the whistleblowers. It's never ending. I mean, what this committee has done under the leadership of Jamie Comer in the past 5 to 6 months is amazing to me, and it doesn't end. The corruption from this Biden family and the peddling of influence with one of our biggest allies, the Chinese, is very alarming and extremely disturbing.
One of our biggest allies?
Excuse me, adversaries. Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's right.
One of our biggest adversaries.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Let me get your take on where this is going, because if this is all true and there's all of this corruption in the Biden family, and they've been accepting all of this money for so many years, why is he still in power?
Well, I think you're seeing because we have a two-tier justice system, and look at the DOJ, look at the FBI. They aren't doing their job. If this were you and me, Maria, and this type of evidence came out with tax fraud or tax evasion that we're uncovering, they wouldn't have slow-rolled this. They would have followed procedures, and you and I would be doing this interview from prison right now. But this is another example of the special treatment that the Biden family continually gets.
Yeah, a new Fox News poll finds confidence in U.S. institutions is reaching record lows. In 2017, 80% of voters had faith in the FBI, and that's down now to 59% of those having faith in the FBI. Just over half of Americans used to trust Congress. Now it's down to 34%. Congressman, do you think this is partly due to that, due to the DOJ and FBI favoring friends and attacking political enemies? I mean, look at Donald Trump right now. And some are saying that another indictment is on the way.
Yeah, this is, I think the American people, at least the people in my district, are frustrated with that. Justice is supposed to be blind, and it's supposed to be levied equally, and it's not. It depends on who you are, and it depends on who you appoint to be in charge, and that's what we see repeatedly.
Really, what I'd like to find out more about is what kind of decisions Joe Biden made in terms of being paid. Because, Jamie Comer, the chairman of your committee, says that the family has possibly taken in upwards of $40 million. And I'm wondering what that money was being paid for. So can you identify any decisions that the president has made, or either as president or vice president, that you believe was one of the things that he was paid for?
Well, we know that they were peddling influence. We don't have all of the facts as to what specific influence or policy decisions they were influencing. And again, I would rather not comment or speculate on that. But just take a look at Michigan for one minute. We can't get an American company in Michigan, yet we'll spend $500 million to bring in a Chinese battery plant. What is concerning to, I think, the American people, and what we're finding, is China has more influence with the Democrats and this administration than the American companies. And that's extremely concerning. Why? The only dots that I can connect is it's pay to play.
Who else is accepting money other than the Biden family and the Democrats?
Well, if you take a look at Michigan, for example, we have a Democratic governor who has done just a horrific job. We've lost jobs, we've lost population. Yet she's bringing in a plant called Goshen, which is a Chinese-owned company. When we lost the Ford plant to Kentucky earlier 2 years ago. So again, that's really interesting to me. Why this obsession with China? Is she running for a higher office? I have no idea. But this obsession with China, who again is not our friend, right? China is coming after us educationally, militarily, and economically.
Yeah.
And this administration is in bed with them and getting money with them.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary story. It really is. Congresswoman, we'll keep a spotlight on it. Thanks very much. Lisa McClain joining us this morning. Thank you.